world economy, with the changing energy sustainability, and several other major issues. The region's transit vision suffered through almost a decade of debate, including being turned down a couple of times at the ballot box. Despite ridership that outstripped projection, the visions of a coherent region linked by transit took years to capture the imagination of Denver's voters. This had a lot to do with the leadership of one person, Mayor Hickenlooper, which is why it becomes so important that either an elected official or someone from the community step out in a major way and say these are some of the things that we must do. And Mayor, as I said, we appreciate your leadership, but all of your colleagues as well in doing this. You know, it also has a lot to do with the gradual emergence of great places around existing light rail stops. Giving voters something concrete to experience about makes a huge difference in their willingness to pay for it. And this, by the way, does become that crucial part. Once they see it in place and can ride it and see the development that's coming from it and what's going on, people get very excited. But getting that first one going becomes the real challenge. It took the united effort of political leaders and business leaders, as well as many buy-in from local voters, to approve the remarkable regional vision in 2004. In the Denver area, they have a program that is building 122 miles of new commuter and light rails, 18 miles of bus rapid transit, and other supportive facilities along that. In addition, and it becomes extremely important, they have modified their land use in a major way. And I urge, you simply cannot build or even plan transit unless you're planning to modify the land use at that very time. In fact, excuse me, a number of jurisdictions are doing urban corridors and transit corridors and so on, even when the transit is not there, and starting to change the land use in anticipation of that. One of the kind of mega examples of what can take place is the Washington, D.C. Example of a long road between vision and build-out. Our jurisdictions in the Washington area often work at cross purposes, philosophically very divided between the Virginia side, the Maryland side, and so on. But nevertheless, the economic power of our region's approach to transportation has lifted the economies of all of the counties, cities in the region. In 1967, what's called the Washington Metropolitan Area Transit Association, which was one of the first regional transit associations just for this, was created by a regional interstate compact. You have it a lot simpler here, obviously, between Maryland, Virginia, and the District of Columbia. Today it serves a region of 5 million people, over 1,500 square miles with 86 metro stations. To put that in perspective, though, metro stations, the rail component of the system carried 190 million trips last year. The bus component carried another 146 million trips last year, which comes down to, on the average, 7 days a week, 900,000 trips a day. Now, then the biggest problem is lack of capacity. With new lines, new cars, and all desperately needed, and in fact under construction now. The growth in the Washington, D.C. region in the last decade, in part, is credited to the competitive edge from the very successful regional transportation system. But it's not just about economic competitiveness. It's about things like we see right now in terms of the housing crisis. In many metropolitan areas like Washington, D.C., or Denver, or numerous others across the country, the housing slowdown was not affecting the market in areas either closer to jobs or to transit lines. Now, first of all, half of you probably can't see the counties there anyway. I know if I were sitting back there, I would not be able to. And even if you did, you probably don't recognize the names. But let me just emphasize in terms of the visuals. These are the foreclosures on a per capita basis. But the interesting thing is the smallest one on the very top is Washington, D.C. Walkability, transit everywhere. And then you start going down to the immediate inner counties. By the time you get down to the last 3 counties here, these are the outer counties. They were the fastest growing. They were the boom counties of Northern Virginia. They were primarily residential, limited mixed use and no rail really at all. And you notice what has happened on the foreclosure rate, and if we were going into more detail, we'd have some slides up there and all that show whole subdivisions now abandoned because of this challenge. Neighborhoods with good transit access to the core of the region are maintaining their value, not just there, but in places all across the country, even as houses in the far-off, auto-dependent suburbs lose value. Here in Middle Tennessee, you've already taken the first several steps toward the future of mutually beneficial regional collaboration. Organizing as mayors may be one of the smartest things that you can do. It creates a forum to undertake how the decisions in one town impose cost on another. It also provides literally some political cover. It also provides opportunities for really speaking informally about creative partnerships that can emerge. We have many excellent and diverse models of regional cooperation from which to learn, but for the first time in our nation's history, we're also seeing support from the national administration. President Obama, and you may agree or disagree with other things, I clearly understand that, but President Obama understands how regions work and is in the process of remodeling the federal government to reorient policies and funding streams in a way that will affect, in a very, very dramatic way, state and local government. In August, the Office of Management and Budget, which reviews and approves the budgets for every federal agency, issued guidelines directing each agency to identify its 3 programs most worthy of further development as place-based policies. It defines these policies as those that target the prosperity, equity, sustainability, and livability of places, and how well or how poorly they function as places and how they can change over time. What it means in a major way, though, and it's no accident that this paragraph closes that 6-page memo, the paragraph that you see up there now, it looks towards a future where the federal government, instead of reinforcing the balkanization at the local level, actively fosters and rewards the kind of work that you are doing here in Nashville. What we're really talking about is that the money flow will start to move on basic questions. Does this address issues like energy sustainability? Does this address issues like reducing carbon emissions? Does this address issues like, since we are a regional nation, regional economic competitiveness? And as you apply for tax credits, loan guarantees, grants, or whatever, to the extent that you can answer these questions in a consistent way with the national policy, you will have a competitive edge to secure that additional funding. It brings the national government very much into an active partner, but on a plan that you have set, not the federal government, but the plan that you have set. The guidance that cites the new sustainability partnership as an example of the type of interagency collaboration that will promote as part of this, that it will promote as part of this place-based strategy. The partnership, which is just starting, and we at Smart Growth America are working with some of the principals on this, is a joint effort of 3 agencies that most affect how and where we grow.